So, hey guys, I don't know if you can notice anything, but I got a microphone. Yay! I have to thank you guys for this because an amazing YouTuber slash watcher on my DeviantArt messaged me explaining that they had a Blue Yeti mic and they heard about my situation and they were willing to send me their mic for free because they know they didn't use it. They bought it and they had no use for it, or they didn't use it as much as they thought they were going to. And I was honestly, I was awestruck. I was like, "Really? You're gonna give me a $100 plus mic for free?" So I offered to pay shipping, and they were really cool because they um they were like, "No, no, I'll send it. No worries. Just it won't be rushed." I'm like, "Yo, you're sending me something for free. I'm not. Don't rush. It's fine. Like, take your time. This is cool. It's no big deal." So I got it, and I'll put a little picture right there. And I was so like flabbergasted when I got this thing because I've never had a nice mic like this. And so once I make my bill money at the end of the month, I'm gonna invest in a pop filter. But I feel I should make a small little preface is there are two videos that I recorded the audio for in advance before I got this mic, so I'll make a little like thingy in the beginning of the video explaining why the audio is different. And yeah, so let's get this party started. I've also had a couple of people ask me to talk about the art picture, and currently I don't feel comfortable. I'll probably boop something in if it's like important or not. But what a lot of the pictures I do, they're just kind of backlogs for things to like look at. They don't really have anything to do with what I'm talking about. And in the future, when I do have videos that I talk about, I will talk about the picture in it because I draw all the time for work, so I just kind of record sometimes and have backlogs there, so that's why I don't really feel comfortable doing that in advance, just so you know. So if I don't talk about the picture had nothing to do with the topic. So just a little FYI, and if I do a picture that has to do with the topic or what I'm talking about, I will explain. Ooh, bump the mic there. I will explain it, I promise. So hopefully I won't bother you guys. But yeah, let's get into the topic of this video, because this is my second time recording this audio, because I went on so many tangents. You know, it's gonna turn the Meet You drinking game. So, as you clicked on this video for the thumbnail and the title, what is style? What do I think of style? Now, I feel I should point something out. I feel like I am a professional in my field of interest, which is what I work on, which is mostly caricatures, cartoons, that kind of thing. Not animation. There's a big difference between drawing cartoons and animation. I should point that out there. Okay, I shouldn't say I can't. I don't have the patience for animation, but I wholeheartedly respect animators, and I have friends in the industry who are animators, and I give them full credit and full admiration because they fucking deserve it. That's not the point of this video now, is it? So this is like most of my videos, like almost all of my videos. These are topics that I have experienced. I have used my life experiences to, form my opinion and my beliefs in it, as well as the research I've done over time, because you do need to do research in your life if you want to be a professional in anything. That's why they always say when you make a resume, you research the company first before you send it off, and so you don't have like a bare bones basic resume. But that's not the point of this video. No, that's it. No. So I'm going to talk about how I found my style and how it evolved over time. And I'll try to have some examples up if I can find some. I don't have a lot of older pictures, like really, really old, because they died on my original computer, which was like Sony Vaio laptop that was made in like 2005 or something. And I currently don't have a Sony Vaio. I use a Toshiba Cosmeo. But I tried so hard to do an anime style, because back then I was huge weeb trash, and I was one of those people that's like, anime is the best animation and art in the world. And now I'm like, no, there's a broad spectrum of arts and styles, and Michi, you're just a naive little past, Michi. But it's not the point now, is it? So I tried so hard. I got all those how to draw anime books. I looked up tutorials. I watched speed paints for days. Back before YouTube had the ability to have long videos now, because back then, I remember back then seeing Like seeing a 10-minute video was almost unheard of. Like almost all videos were like 4 or 5 minutes long, around that range. If you saw a 10-minute video, that was so long. So there were always speed paints. No one really talked over them. It was always music. But I tried so hard to see how they did it and learn it, and I could never replicate it. I could never learn, and I tried so hard, and I could just never do it. And it was so aggravating and so frustrating that I could never do it. And so one day in my art class, this is back in high school, my art teacher at the time really did not support cartoons or animation. She wasn't an asshole or anything. She was a very nice art teacher. I really liked her. I had her and her husband and then another art teacher when I was in high school. But real quick, this is going to be a tangent, but I feel it's important, and I'm trying to make a video on this in the future. There are art teachers that can be really fucking mean and be like, yeah, anime's trash, cartoons are trash, you'll never make art from it. My teacher wasn't like that, but she was much more along the lines of, like, an artiste, if you get what I'm saying. To me, there's, like, an artist, and then there's an artiste, and an artiste is, like, the stereotype of an artist. You know, they make all their money off of their art, even if they have to, like, starve. They're, they're, like, super into new age, nouveau, cubism stuff. Which, again, if that's your thing, good for you. I'm not shitting on you. I just, that personally never jived with me. That kind of stuff, and she always really pushed me to work on painting. It's ironic, I haven't done painting in fucking years. But she pushed me to do painting because she said that, like, listen, I don't think, it's really hard to get into animation and to get into this kind of stuff. And even back then, I'm like, I don't want to be an animator. I know I don't have the patience for that. And now I still don't have the patience to be an animator. Which is why I give you guys all the credit in the world, like, for real. But she pushed me to do other things, so I didn't have confidence in myself. All of my friends drew anime, but we just did it for fun. I didn't know it could be a career. Like, being self-employed back then, which wasn't even that long ago, was so unheard of. It was so hard. It wasn't impossible, but it wasn't as commonplace as it is now. And even then, it's still not as commonplace. It's commonplace on the internet. But if you go outside and try to explain to somebody that you draw commissions for a living, they assume that you're working commissions like billboards and company logos and propaganda and things for fairs and stuff. Which, again, some do. But it's not, hey, can you draw my persona for $30 or whatever? Like, it's not... It's still a relatively new field in the grand scheme of things. That's not the point of this video. I felt like I should, explain that real quick. So she really wanted to help support our future. She didn't want us to, be that artist that lived in your parents' basement until you were 30 because, you were working really hard to make it big, but you never showed anybody your art kind of thing. So I remember one day I was in art class, and I was really fucking frustrated. Like, nothing I drew came out right. All of my characters in my head looked completely different. I tried writing them out, and then, as ironic as it was, I never saw my characters as anime characters. That's something I always think is really funny when I think back on it, is I didn't see them in my style now, but I always saw them in a more, like, Disney-esque Futurama fusion, which is what I go for now. But back then, I never saw them in anime, and I tried so hard, and I never could. I realize now that, I probably should have just gone for cartoons in the first place, but hindsight's 20/20. And I was really fucking frustrated, and I remember I drew a character. I think it was Tetsu. It was either Tetsu or, like, myself. I used to draw myself a lot. I don't know why. I, never draw myself now. But I gave my character same kind of anime proportions a bit, but I gave them really big eyes, and I'll try to find a picture of what I'm talking about, what my style used to be. This isn't the picture, because I don't have that picture anymore, but just a little example, if I can. And I looked at it, and I look at it now, and to me, I think it's complete garbage. But I look at it back then, and I was so proud of myself. I remember I looked at this, like, little pen doodle for forever, and I was like, this looks good. For the first time, I felt good. I felt like I had drawn a character properly. And again, I look back now, and the proportions are completely off, and my style back then was really wonky. I mean, like, none of my characters had frickin' foreheads. But I didn't see that at the time. And that was the start of my style, was I had just said, oh, fuck anime, pretty much. And nothing on anime artists, because that is a hard field. But it wasn't working for me, so I pushed myself more towards cartoons. And it was like a weird thing that clicked inside me. I started noticing little things I had never noticed before. Because back then I also watched a lot of Family Guy, Futurama, Simpsons. What else was there in high school? Well, I watched a lot of anime too, but like in cartoons. And so I started noticing little things. Like, I noticed how the fingers moved. I noticed how their blinking animations were. I noticed how their proportions really were just shapes. And I had never, like, everyone had told me this. And I'd seen books on it where they talk about, like, yeah, break it down into basic shapes. But I had never actually seen that. And it's something that grows with time. Like, recently, a little mini tangent, but has to do with the topic. I went to see Kiki's Delivery Service. My dad surprised me for the Ghibli festival thing and got me tickets to see Kiki's Delivery Service. By the way, I'll be making a video about that soon. But there were so many little things I noticed as an adult and as a professional now compared to when I was a kid. Because that was always my favorite Ghibli movie. And I never knew why. Like, it was so funny because I remember I was like, the story was always just kind of like, eh. Like, it wasn't a grand adventure, and now as an adult I realized, but that's because it's a Japanese thing, but that's not the point of this. There were so many little things, because I love Ghibli movies, like many artists. I noticed, when she was brushing her hair, like how the one side of her hair that was already brushed looked different than the side that wasn't brushed, and little things like that were subtle. It was subtle animation that made it feel real. Well, like, in Disney movies, they'll, like, over-exaggerate it to the max. I'll use Frozen as an example, because this scene always sticks out, because it was funny. Was, when Anna wakes up for the first time, and, she's, like, a drool on her face, and her hair's, like, all over her face. Like, it's totally over-exaggerated and totally Americanized. And when she gets up, suddenly it's like, ooh, now she's, like, the pretty little princess. When I see, like, stuff like that, yeah, that's a drastic measure, because it's meant more for comedy. But then you look at a Ghibli film where it's the subtlety to it. And you notice that with time, your eye starts to notice those little subtle things. It's also why you start to notice expressions in characters, and you start to notice body movements and stuff like that. And I tried doing more and more of that in my style, but most of the time, like Aerofx explained in her video, we gotta eat, so most of our commissions are anime chicks, and most of them are like pinup styles or furries or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's fun. I don't mind it. But I very rarely get to do, like, very expressive, fun, experimental things. Not that those aren't fun. They are. It's just it took a while to get used to it. Does that make sense? But I feel style can be explained in finding things you like from other people. And something else I feel like I should explain is, like, if you want to be a professional in the industry and not online, because there's a big difference here. They'll want you to draw in other styles. If you want to be an animator, you better get used to drawing in a style that's not your own. Because that's how it is. Unless you're lucky enough to get a show pitched. And even then, that's, hundreds of people working in your style now. So your style isn't as unique as it once was. And that's not a bad thing. Because, you're making a show. You're making your dream come true. Good for you. But your style has now been put there with, like, the Disney style, the Matt Groening style, I'm trying to think of another good, like, stylized American one. I'll just say Ghibli style, because I was talking about Ghibli movies. I don't know why I didn't fucking think of that. But you notice these things, and people are being taught to draw in said style, because in industry and at art school, they're going to tell you, don't stick to one style. You're going to need to be able to copy many styles. You're going to need to be able to copy realism, over-exaggerated cubism, noodles, the whole shebang. And there are a lot of artists out there who are like, I don't want to learn other styles. I make money doing just my thing, and I want to do just my style. Well, then, hey, good for you. That's a thing online. But it's going to be a lot harder for you to get a job in the industry if you ever want to stop being self-employed and work for a company, or maybe pitch a show, because then they're gonna be like, okay, I need to see that you can draw other things besides just your style. And that's what's really important. is people need to understand that, because there's so many people who, they work so hard and get so butthurt when people rip off their style. And I'm like, listen, as long as they're not, it goes back down to the art stealing thing. As long as they're not doing it for profit, and if they're doing it as a learning thing, then there's no reason to get mad, because you should want an artist to draw in many styles. Even if you don't do it all the time, you should be able to. Do you know what I'm saying? Even if it takes you a while, you should be able to draw in another style than your own, so you can learn proportions, anatomy, proper structure, expressions, that kind of thing. And it's not going to come out perfect either at the first time, unless they're perfectly copying it. I mean, they tell you when you do warm-ups and stuff that they want you to, you do a bunch of, sketch-ups and mock-ups of other things. I know this big artist I watched a while ago, they were put on some art school, and they had to do a bunch of stuff for Cats Don't Dance, if you guys ever know that animated movie. And so they had to learn how to, because their style was, super cartoony and over-exaggerated, and it was really cool, but they had to, boom, drop of a hat, draw in Cats Don't Dance like they were animating for it. And see, that's the difference. There's a big difference there. And I think a good artist that shows how you can draw in different styles is Draw with Jazza. I really like his work because he can do so many different styles that I feel people should understand. And your style takes time to develop. What you should do is, I feel like you should think of a Frankenstein, okay? And I mean the monster, not the doctor. What do you like in other person's styles? Is there a certain thing you enjoy? Maybe it's how I draw eyes. Maybe it's how my buddy Aerofx inks. Maybe it's how my buddy Bezzy K does her watercolor shading. And if you like specific things and styles that keep drawing you to it, maybe that's a sign that you should incorporate that into your own thing. Am I saying completely rip an artist off and copy their shit and make a profit? No, because that's illegal. Don't do that. Don't be an asshole. But for a learning purpose, I think it's fine. But you should also push yourself. If your characters don't match how you see in your head, then try other styles. Try other things. Again, maybe oh, you like how this one artist draws noses. You like how this other artist draws hands. You like how this other artist shades and colors hair, all these things to make styles, because realistically in this day and age, and I'm sure people are sick of hearing this, but it's fucking true, you're not gonna have something that's 100% original anymore. Your style can stand out and people will be able to recognize it, but character creation, story-wise, there's a book or something, I don't remember what it's called, but they explain how every story in the world can be pushed down to these 5 or 7 stories, plot lines. No matter what, every story in the world can be one of those 5 or 7 plot lines. And that's the thing I feel with styles too, is there'll be things you notice, especially with where you live in different cultures and what you're experienced around, because Chinese animation is drastically different from French animation, or American animation to Japanese animation. It's completely different style. Same goes for cartoons. Cartoons and comics. It's why the indie scene is so big right now, because people are, putting their stuff out there. But you can still notice these fusion-inspired things. With mine, I've always said, and how I saw it in my head, was I never saw my style as anime. Even when I was a kid, I really loved anime, I always saw it in this weird Disney fusion 90s style. And a fun fact that a lot of people don't notice is I only ever draw 4 fingers on my characters because of what I grew up with. Unless a commissioner asks for 5 fingers, then I'll do it. But very rarely do they even notice. And I'm like, yay, proportions are good enough. They don't even notice. But I always try to draw 4 fingers. I try to do the I don't really want to say sausagey fingers, but they're kind of like that. I like round proportions. I tend to use a lot of circles in my style. I like using thick lines. Back in the day, I used to use really thin lines, and now I can't do it. I try, and I'm terrible at doing thin lines. But it's it's stuff like that. I really love how expressive eyes could be in anime, but I can't do the really big, give me those big anime eyes. I can't really do that anymore. So like my characters have thinner pupils and stuff, but I make sure they're always colored and emphasized. With how I draw hair, I really like big poofy, like 80s style kind of hair, and just stuff like that. And that's with me. So I don't know what you guys like, but just think of that and realize that you're going to draw crappy things. I drew crappy things. Or you're going to draw something you're really proud of, and, 3 months, 2 years, 5 years down the line, bump the mic, you're going to realize that was really bad, but it was the stepping stone to go towards your own style, to make it your own thing. But it's an experience that every artist goes to, and which is why I really get mad when artists like lose their fucking shit with, oh, you stole my style, and now I'm gonna sue you, and I'm gonna ruin you, and I'm gonna send all my peons to attack you. No, don't be that fucking asshole. If they're doing it for a profit and full on ripping you off and tracing your shit, then yes, you have every right to be mad. But if it's a young kid starting out who's inspired by you, hell, you should be flattered. I'm flattered. It's like people like my art well enough to want to replicate it. Again, as long as it's not for a profit, I don't see the problem. Because art should be an experience. Art should be your personal experience. And so that's all I wanted to say about style. I know I went on like 1,000 tangents back there, but I really hope that my points of view help. And it's another 22-minute video. It's my whole channel's gonna be these 22-minute videos at this point. But I really hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, I will see you guys next time. Bye.